Greetings, hello, beautiful butterflies in transformation. Y'all are butterflies in transformation, but this is not my Butterfly Transformations channel, but you are still a butterfly in transformation because you have wings and you want to soar high. Welcome to Tanesia's Locs Beauty Tips and Potpourri. How's everybody doing today? We are talking about thinning locks. This video is for informational purposes, but it's also dedicated to the many of you who contact me because that happens to be something that I talk about a lot on this channel. So I'm going to dedicate this video to you all. I also think that thinning locks is something that we are all concerned about because we love this style and we want to sport it forever. And the one thing that threatens this style is hair loss. And we know that as a people, we deal with traction alopecia and other alopecia issues that sometimes affect us disproportionately. And oftentimes it has to do with the styles that I finally turned my office around because the sun was always, and now I guess this is not the golden hour. Hold on, beautifuls. Let me see if the sun decides it wants to shine like down here like this today while I'm doing the video. But this seems to be, it's a major concern, and it really doesn't matter where you are on this journey. I'm just going to be honest with you. Although it's going to matter, I think, to you even more than it ever did as you begin to have your locks for a lot longer. I can see my book. If you haven't purchased my book, Transforming Your Masterpiece, Manifesting Your Masterpiece, you can get it on Amazon. Sorry for the interruptions, beautiful, beautiful butterflies in transformation. I got to keep an eye on this thing so that let's see. I really didn't anticipate this. I just did a couple of videos for other channels and they were fine. So the sun just decided that it wanted to do this. But it's an issue, and it's something that we think about. It's like a sister locker or a micro locker or traditional lockers, free-form lockers nightmare is to realize that your locks are thinning, because the funny thing is this: in order to realize they're thinning, they got to already be thin, right? They got to be thinning, meaning it has to be noticeable. So it becomes something that it has already progressed more than likely by the time you realize what's going on. Let me just show y'all the culprit. Okay, you see the culprit up there? I turned my office around to avoid this, also because it wasn't doing me any justice with any of my filming and my private sessions, because when you're filming, your camera or your phone needs to be in front of the window so that you get the benefit of natural light without having to use all this pomp and circumstance. But anyway, so this is really important. And like I said, by the time most of us notice what's going on, something is already progressed and it becomes something that you become afraid of. And I will tell you this, I've had these locks now for 10 years and it's time for a retightening. It's not time, I'm going a little earlier this time. I think I'll be at about 8 weeks. I have not done a retightening at 8 weeks in years. But y'all know I'm all the way out here in the boonies now, and so this is just the way it is. I gotta go when I can go. So tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to be doing probably this section. Y'all know I kind of need to mind that section. I have thinner locks in that area because I chose the Axifrage to separate them many years ago. And so I'm very particular about the crown of my head. I watch it a lot, and I'm working on some things in that area currently, so I need to be able to monitor. But I will tell you, to this video, although I talk a lot on this channel about thinning locks and the sister lock process and all these other things, today I just want to focus on some of the things that cause thinning locks. And this is a conversation that we all need to have, or something that we all need to pay attention to, because at some point you're probably going to lose a lock. At some point, you may have a lock that thins out or some ends that come off, and whatever may be going on, these are your babies. And you start to notice and pay attention to everything that is an indication of their health or the lack thereof. So this is something that is really important to all of us. And as I mentioned, although this is something that tends to monopolize the thoughts of those of us who've been on this journey for a long time, it can happen to anybody. I have some of you who've not even had your locks for 2 years and have had locks to start falling out. What I will tell you is to take in consideration, before we even get started, take into consideration the needs of your hair before you started this journey. Take into consideration the quality of your hair before you started this journey. Take into consideration what your hair could withstand before you started this journey. For example, let's say you already have thin hair and you've had fine and thin hair before you got the locks, and you got them because somebody told you your hair was going to be thinner, it was going to be thicker, you would have more volume and all of this other stuff. That way may well be true, but also know that your hair is going to undergo a different type of stress because of the fact that your hair is already, you know, the volume. You didn't have a lot of volume to begin with, or your hair was already fine. Same thing with regarding dry hair. If you knew your hair was dry before you got the locks, then know that it's going to be dry when you get the locks. And magical thinking and them telling you not to put anything in your hair is not going to be the panacea for you, more than likely, because your hair has already told you what it needs. All right, listen to your hair, not to other people. Don't even listen to me. Listen to your hair, because your hair knows best what it needs, just like your skin and just like your body. And nobody's energetic imprint is identical to anybody else's, all right? So keep that in mind. And I'm sorry about all this moving, but I might have to get a blind up there. This is crazy. And I just turned the whole office around. I spent the weekend moving stuff so that I could face the light, or my camera could be behind the light. Back at the ranch, I digress. So this is something that you need to recognize. You have to do everything you can to prolong the health of your hair, period. Now, me being at this for 10 years, y'all, I'm paying attention to everything, especially since I've been doing this channel, because y'all know I stay in my hair. I pay attention to every single lock, and I know what's going on with every single lock. And I got a couple of 2 or 3 locks in here that I'm paying attention to, that I'm being challenged by, and I'm using this now back again regularly. And that's why I got all this fuzziness up in here. Just fuzz and loose hair everywhere, because I'm telling y'all, this stuff is making my hair grow. So I got a lot of fuzziness in here, more fuzziness than I've had, but I'm working in this area a lot because these are the locks that were thicker when I first got started. And because of my OCD-ness, I asked the fries to separate them because I wanted them very thin in this area. And now I realize that will be my trial and my test. And these are things that I have to pay attention to, especially because my hair is getting longer. Y'all, this is crazy. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's what we want. Let me move up. So I realized that this is a learning curve for me, and it's a learning curve for you. And all that means is that you got to be on the job. Y'all see all this frizz? All of this is new growth. Okay, all of this is me using the Magical Hair Growth Serum here and here. Now, you know, I was slack on this for about a month ago, and I got back to using this too. I do this about twice a week when I'm on it, but I've been doing this about every other day because I'm really trying to work on stimulating growth here. And I've got a new little lock right here that I'm doing everything that I can to hold on to. Okay, and so I added a little extension here. It's about this short, but it's thicker hair up in here. So I added this little extension, and I'm going to leave this on here for about another couple months until I can get this to grow down some more. I don't want to lose this. I don't want it to just be frizz. I need it to grow. So I'm working on it. I'm experimenting. This is what gives me the content for this channel. I'm not just talking about stuff that I haven't had any experience with. All right. But it's important to catch these things early by paying attention to your hair, because a lot of times hair loss can be reversed or it can be slowed down if you take the proper intervention early enough. Now, that is not to say that everybody's case is the same. Everybody's case is not the same. I cannot answer for what is going on with your hair. You all know I talk about things on this channel, but I don't like to give personal advice because all I can talk about is my experiences, and all I want to do here is to help you to think and to encompass a range of different things that could be potentially affecting your hair. I want us to be able to think outside of the box and realize that we're individuals and that there is no one way for everybody to do anything. So I want to keep that in mind. So I can't tell you what to specifically do with your hair, but what I can tell you to do is I can encourage you to take certain measures. I can help you to understand that this is a style that is retightening intensive, and that over time, as your hair grows, you're going to have different challenges than what you had before. Okay? And there are lots of things I discuss on this channel. You see all that fuzziness, y'all? You see it? These are not in, and I never had this. I never had this before, but that's because of the Magical Hair Growth Serum, and I'm going to stick with it because I'm trying to generate thickness up in this area. IamMelaninMagic.com. So reasons for hair thinning is really, really important. When your hair starts to, your scalp starts to feel very tender, when you notice a lot of itching and flaking, and you notice your scalp is not, it feels inflamed, or it feels sore, or you just start to notice that the root of the lock is a lot thinner than what it used to be, or the root of the lock does not match how the width or the volume of the ends, this is when you want to start paying attention to what is going on with your hair, because at this time, if you're still able to generate growth, your hair is still growing, you can arrest the situation. It may require you change your shampoo. It may require you beef up your supplement and your vitamin supplementation, minerals. It may require that you begin to literally put something in your hair to help revitalize, regrow, moisturize, and condition your hair. It may require that you change your diet. It might require that you walk around and you drink water all day. Maybe you're dehydrated and your hair is not getting enough moisture. The point is, by the time you notice it, you already have a problem that could potentially become systemic. It can move throughout your hair, so you have to be on it. All right, because look, y'all, we invest a lot in these. We just do. And I don't know about you all. I do know about y'all. I think y'all feel like I do, which is we're trying to do what we can to keep this style for as long as we can. Okay, I don't want to have to take these out before the time I decide to because of something that I have not done or that could have been avoided. Okay, so let's talk about the 9 reasons real quick, and I'm not going to get into too much detail because y'all know my videos can really, they can go long. But number 1, locks that were created too thin to begin with. Okay, if your locks were created too thin to begin with, thinning is something you really need to pay attention to. If you were like me, you liked and was obsessed with very, very thin locks. And I will tell you that even now there are women's locks that I see that are very thin. And I still wish sometimes mine were that thin. But I know a little bit better now than I did before. And one of the things that I will say to you is that very, very thin locks at the outset predispose you to additional thinning. So try to balance that with the feedback you're giving your consultant. If you know that that person was going to make them a little larger, or if you feel like you would have too much space in between and so you want more locks, just consider the long-term ramifications. A lot of times you won't know until something has already happened. So you really want to be careful, okay? Because I know a lot of people will say, well, you know, I need to have a certain number of locks and that sort of thing. Well, the density and the volume of your hair is what's going to determine that. So kind of go with that flow and see if you can't, if you have a loctician consultant that you trust, see if you can't conform to that, especially if it means that you're going to have less very, very thin locks. Okay, find out what your hair density is or your hair volume is by measuring per square inch. If you don't have a lot of strands per square inch or per square half inch, then you know that you have thin hair, you have fine hair, and you need, these are things that you want to be thinking about, okay? Then we talk about the genetic related issues, okay? Just things like female patterned hair baldness, male patterned hair baldness, and things that you can't really always control for, things that maybe you can hope to slow down in your journey, but may not necessarily be able to control entirely for. Although there are a lot of things that you can do to decrease the likelihood that you lose as much hair as quickly. A lot of times it involves a multifaceted approach. There may be things you put on your hair, there may be things that you shampoo with, there may be some dietary changes, there may be some hormonal things that you may have to do. Keep in mind that a lot of times when you start dealing with a lot of hair loss, it is a multifaceted approach that you need to take. Today, they do a lot with injecting steroids and doing a lot of other things that can be extremely painful. Do your best to try to find something more natural to go to before you start going to something like that. Also, be willing in the worst case scenario to consider having to cut your locks down tremendously, and in some cases, cut them off and begin again later if you're dealing with something like that and your scalp is just totally inflamed and very, very uncomfortable. Okay, number 3, tight styles. Okay, people pulling their locks up like this and pulling very hard and, you know, braiding the hair in cornrows and wearing these styles, y'all, create too much manipulation and they traumatize the hair follicles and eventually they lead to hair loss. You're going to have enough things to deal with this style, like those frequent retightenings, like making sure that you're washing and getting products out of your hair, being careful about the products that you put in your hair, managing the weight of your locks as they get longer. You're going to have enough to worry about without adding to your plate. Not only frequent styling, but frequent inappropriate styling for this particular style. Okay, so you're going to watch that. Moving to my next point, longer locks. Longer locks mean that there's more weight on the root because you have this. Now, this feels light as a feather, but depending upon the kind of scale you have, this still is going to have some weight in grams or milligrams. It's still going to have some weight that's going to pull on my roots here. So we have to be careful. You want to watch the kind of products you're putting on your hair. You need something very, very lightweight, something that is easily absorbable, something that is natural, something that doesn't include the types of products that come behind the moisturizing or the conditioning and actually weaken your hair. You want to make sure that when you're using products on your hair, that when you wash your hair, I don't care what you're using, even when you're using this, by the way, do not put the Magical Hair Growth Serum on the lock. Do not put this on the lock. Please don't put this on the lock. This can be sprayed on the lock lightly or sprayed in your hand like that. That's got to be an older bottle top. No, that's a newer bottle top. It shouldn't be spraying like that. And spread it out like this. Do not just sit there and spray directly on the hair. It's not needed like that. This stuff penetrates very well. That's why I gave it, or I created it in the spray bottle, because it allows you to move through the hair to distribute it. Okay? But as I mentioned, whatever you're putting on your hair, make sure that when you wash it thoroughly. Make sure that at regular intervals that you are doing a, what do you call it? The cleansing, I can't think of the word, but it's when you do a deep cleansing, but you are clarifying shampoo. At some sort of interval that makes sense to you, that you use a clarifying shampoo to make sure that you're getting out any residue. Okay, residue from anything that's coming in. Even if you collect too much lint on your hair, it has a weight. Don't y'all remember in 12 Years a Slave, she picked 100 pounds of cotton and then ended up being beat to death. But the point is, beat to death, not beat to death literally, but the point is that cotton still weighs, lint still weighs. Everything has a weight. It has mass. As long as it takes up space, it has mass. It has a weight to it. And anything potentially that stays in these locks has a weight to it. If this is an 8-ounce bottle and you put all 8 ounces of this on your hair, it's going to weigh your hair down. Okay, so you have to make sure that when you are shampooing thoroughly. Do not do like I did many years ago and be trifling with my shampoo regimen, and when I would wash just one time and be done. Wash more than one time, but be very gentle with the hair. This is very, very important. Okay, next, that brings me to the heavy oils. Using heavy oils on your hair, things like coconut oil. Even watch out for avocado oil. Avocado oil is very heavy. I can't handle avocado oil. I used it in the past and I paid for it. It was too heavy for my hair. But some people put butters on their hair. They put creams on their hair. Those things are really kind of a no-no. And if you do put those things on your hair, make sure that you get them out of your hair. Make sure that you are checking your hair on a regular basis, and when you're shampooing your hair, noticing that after a good shampoo or after a clarifying shampoo, your hair feels light as a feather. My hair used to be probably 3, 4, 5 inches shorter than this, but twice as heavy, to the point to where I was wanting to cut my hair off because it was hurting my neck, and that was because I was not washing my hair well enough. When I would wash my hair, I was washing it just one time, and so I still had all the oils that I was putting on my hair. And back in the day, this oil was much heavier. Before I changed and shifted into a much superior blend, and on top of that, I was spraying the locks directly every day. I was using this oil about every day, almost every day. And so, you know, from whence we've come, we live and we learn, right? Number 6, excessive heat damage. Heat damage if you're sitting under the dryer, drying your hair instead of letting it dry naturally. Heat damage if you're out in the sun. Let's say you live in Arizona and you're outside all the time in the middle of the day, and that heat is just frying your hair, and you're not misting your hair. You're not doing anything to come back in and give your hair some protection from the sun. You're going to want to be careful. Some people use curling irons on these. I would be weary of that. I would go ahead and make the sacrifice to use some rollers and curl my hair up at night rather than using those types of things on your hair, if you can at all avoid it. As I was mentioning, this style in and of itself, just by having these beautiful locks, already have enough things that put you at risk of hair loss without adding additional things like adding heat to your hair deliberately by way of curling irons, hot dryers or hair dryers and things of that nature. When I have dried my hair, I dry it until it's just no longer dripping, okay? And I'll leave it damp, but I've never dried my hair thoroughly so that, you know, my hair is fully dry. I'd rather let it air dry. That's very, very important, okay? So excessive heat, something you want to be mindful of. Dietary stuff. Are you eating right? We love to address everything externally. We want the quick fix. We want to be able to use this and we want to go to heaven. Everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. Listen, you got to realize that your body is regenerating 10 billion cells a day, baby. You got over 70 trillion. So your body is making new hair, new tissue for your organs. You're getting a new layer of skin. You're getting new beautiful stuff every day. In the course of a year, everything is replaced. So if your body is making you with substandard raw materials because of the food that you're eating, you cannot expect your hair to thrive in that kind of environment. In fact, you cannot expect to thrive yourself in that kind of environment. Watch what you're eating. Take supplements if you need to. Minerals. Supplement your diet. Make sure that you're getting what you need. I do the greens drink because I'm not somebody that sits down to vegetables every single day. The greens drink, Delicious Greens, I think it's called. 8,000 greens or something. It's like the equivalent of 8 or 10 servings of vegetables. At least if I'm getting that in, I'm regular. I know that if I've missed something else in my diet, then I know that I'm getting my greens that way. Whatever it is that you need to do in terms of supplementation is definitely worth it, because with what our food supply looks like today, we can hardly depend on that. Coloring is a huge enemy to us, and I have colored tremendously. You all know this is about the longest that I've gone not coloring. I'm going to do my best to stay this color for at least, I don't know, another year. I'm going to do all I can not to be tempted by color. But bleaching is extremely detrimental. I don't care what your consultant tells you. Avoid bleaching at all costs. All right? I will tell you, if you decide to bleach, you better come up with every additive that you can put in your hair to keep it strong. All right, and I'm not just giving this a shout out, but my daughter Naima went blind, totally blind, a couple years ago, and she has not been one to use these products because she feels that it's just for locks. But if you look at her hair now, from whence she came, from when it was thinning, her hair is long, blonde, and thick a year after coloring because she uses this all the time now. And she says that this is the reason why. So what I'm telling you is stay away from bleach. But if you decide to bleach, you need to be on it. You need to be doing your deep conditioning treatments. You need to be putting something in your hair. You need to make sure that that person spends almost an eternity rinsing that stuff out of your hair so that nothing stays in your locks and continues to break it down later. That's a big threat to you, whether you're using bleach or regular coloring. Just be mindful of the harmful effects of coloring your hair. And if you have to color and you color one time like I did down here and this color is kind of still here, then add a rinse, because the rinse will give you the vibrancy. This will give you, the color will have given you the lift, then a rinse will take a little bit better on your hair, and you're likely to have results that are more vibrant, that last longer, and that don't just rinse out after 2 or 3 shampoos, which is what usually happens with your over-the-counter type of colors like Vidal Sassoon and Revlon and L'Oreal and all of that stuff, okay? Medications, issues with hormones, health problems, illnesses, and things of that nature do a lot to weaken your locks and to thin them out. Be mindful of those things. If you start losing locks, a lot of them. I remember losing a lot of hair when I lost a significant amount of weight. My daughter Naima, when she lost all that weight at the beginning of COVID, she went through a period of hair loss, and she lost quite a bit of hair. I know a lot of people who actually had COVID who ended up losing hair. So a lot of things can do that. The idea is to put into your hair those things that help it to bounce back and that help you maintain health. This is for maintenance and ongoing growth and prosperity. This is more of a breakdown, maintenance, critical intervention product, okay? The label has changed. It is no longer this label, but it is called the Magical Hair Growth Serum. So notice that if you're doing any significant weight loss, if you've gotten sick, if you're taking medicines, different things like that can really affect your hair. You want to be mindful. Number 10 is your retightenings. You don't want to be getting them too infrequently, but you don't want to be getting them too frequently. If you don't get them early enough, your roots will thin. If you get them too early, your roots can thin because your hair needs time to rest in between. Also keep in mind the quality of those retightenings. If those retightenings include your hair popping, your hair is tangled, the person is pulling on your hair, you're hurting after the retightenings are done, know for sure, without a doubt about it, that your hair is going to suffer long term with those repeated retightenings. And y'all, the retightenings are the foundation for this style. So we're all at risk for that when it comes to our retightenings. All right, so we have got to be mindful of that, and we have got to do all that we can. Make sure that your hair is untangled before you go in for your retightenings. Make sure that your scalp is moisturized and oiled so that whatever is going through your hair can glide through with less friction. If you have to take a spray bottle and have them to spray it with a little water, if your loctician is not doing that already, that's something that you want to be very, very mindful of. Last but not least, number 11 are the scalp infections. Things like psoriasis, seborrheic, I think it's called, dermatitis. Things that inflame your scalp, severe and excessive cases of dandruff, things that inflame your scalp and cause your scalp to flake, to develop sores or lesions or red patches, anything that is inflamed in your scalp. Know that it can be blocking your follicles or it can be weakening your follicles. This is very, very important. Take notice of your scalp conditions and how your scalp changes over time. By the way, keep an eye out for Gray Away Magic. It is in R&D, as in something that is being developed and tested specifically for itchy scalp conditions. Just be on the lookout for that. It's in R&D. It's going to take some more months, but as soon as I have something that can have a 70% or greater success rate, I will make sure I share it with you here on the channel. I love y'all. I hope that y'all keep on thriving. I hope that you continue to be beautiful. I hope that you continue to embrace yourself and your locks, and that you continue to raise the level of awareness by talking to your locticians, by making sure that when your scalp hurts, you let them know that it hurts. If you need them to slow it down, you ask them to slow it down, whatever. Also, please feel free to submit a video to me via text 678-438-6442 that you have filmed via your phone. You can upload it through Google Drive. If there's something you want to share on this channel to the other sisters that you feel that they can benefit from with regard to your lock journey. We have lots of tips and comments. Some of you all give wonderful comments on the channel that would help and benefit a lot more sisters if they were not just in the comment section, but they were actually in the video. All right, so I would love to share those. You are all beautiful. Please do not allow what do we call vanity and worrying about how you look on camera to detract from you submitting videos that can be shared with a lot of others, things that you will talk about that I simply can't talk about because either I haven't experienced it or I can't talk about everything. I love y'all so much. I want to thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate you. Know that the anti-aging serum is on sale on the site, 2 for almost the price of 1. It's an excellent deal. And if you want to smooth out those fine lines, those forehead lines, if you want your skin to glow and feel soft to you, and you want to get exfoliation and cleaning, and you just want to look more vibrant and more radiant, then the I Am Melanin Magic Anti-Aging Serum might just be for you. I love y'all. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.